Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Jones here on Infowars Nightly News to break down probably the most important Trump information that we've ever discussed in the year that we've been following him on the campaign trail. The international sensation, whether you love him or hate him. Now, in the process of covering Trump, I didn't support him a year ago. I began to thaw to him about 6 months ago. And I'm about to break down bombshell information about Trump that nobody else knows and that nobody else has talked about. Because it's my moral responsibility to relay this to you. Now, here in the headline, I'm making the point that this is devastating Donald Trump information, and that this new leaked information will absolutely change the world if the people discover it and pay attention to it. And it's this: Donald Trump is for real. Donald Trump really does want to save this country. Donald Trump really does know about the New World Order, about globalism, about the big mega banks coming in and taking control of this country and other nations, and that they have a plan to bankrupt nation states, to fold them into a private corporate government, a form of neo-colonialism, where the big offshore banks actually colonize through banking fraud and take control of the nation states, like you've seen in Ireland, like you've seen in Spain, in Greece, in Italy, where they even appoint former Goldman Sachs heads to be the presidents. Trump is for real. And the bombshell info is, I was told information by Roger Stone, his longtime confidant of 40 plus years, running buddies, not just a political advisor, former head of his campaign. A lot of private things, but also public things about Trump and what Trump would do and what he thought Trump was going to say. And in every case, weeks later, Trump would come out and do it. And it wasn't because Stone was telling him what to say. He was talking to Trump and was aware of what Trump was going to do. I mean, I said a week before, Trump's going to come out against the private Federal Reserve and call for an audit. He did that. So I was told that by Stone. But what I'm about to break down here, most of it didn't come from Stone. Stone was telling me things, and then I knew other famous people that are friends with Trump, who've known him for years, who vacation with him and things like that, and local Austin billionaires, you name it. And it turns out, just like Hollywood's awake to the New World Order, but are scared to talk about it, a bunch of these nouveau riche and wealthy people do want to have a free market, do want to have a wealthy country, do want to have the general public become wealthy and successful as well. And Donald Trump, here's the big news, is actually basically an info warrior. But before he was ever an info warrior, before Infowars existed, Donald Trump gets it all. Donald Trump knows as much of this as I do, or more. And he's been an entertainer, he's played along, he just wanted to be a businessman. He kept thinking things would get fixed. And I was told this over 8-9 months ago by Stone when the Trump campaign approached me. And Stone said, listen, he doesn't want America to be wrecked. He knows these foreign businesses and banks and special interests are gutting the country. He hates it. He loves this country. He hates seeing Americans become poor. He wants to see a rising tide raising all ships. And then months later, it was in Politico from other people. 20 plus top Republicans met in his New York offices and they had sub sandwiches together for an hour and a half meeting. And Trump said, I'm not letting them wreck America. I'm not letting them deindustrialize it. I'm not letting these foreign elites do this. We're not going to have America conquered. My point is, everything Stone told me about that ended up being, from other people's quotes knowing Trump, exactly what really happened inside, even from his enemy Politico. So then I talked to some other people that know Trump, and they said the same thing, but it was different events, so I wasn't putting it all together. Then Dr. Jerome Corsi was on the show, PhD, political science, international banking, Harvard, worked in clandestine operations all over the world, anti-terrorism, 3-time #1 New York Times bestseller, and friends with Donald Trump for 40 years in business. And I knew that, I've been on break before when Donald Trump has, like 5 or 6 years ago, called Corsi up. He's like, oh, that was Donald Trump, when he's on Skype. So, he's good friends with him too, and I started just clicking. So I was asking him on air, what type of guy is he? What's he stand for? And Corsi on air said he knows everything. He knows everything I know, everything you know. Believe me, he's got a plan. And so I'm going to get Corsi back on and talk more about it, but he was just saying what all these other big insiders told me, that no, he knows all about NAFTA, all about GATT, all about the New World Order. And you see him in his policy saying that. He just doesn't sensationalize it. With its global government taking us over, he speaks at a blue-collar level that he knows the public will understand. He even dumbs down his speech on purpose to reach the general public because he knows they'll get lost in all the complexity. Is that a blow against him, or is that positive that he's able to do that? I mean, he's got this whole, dumb schmo thing going on, and that ain't it. I mean, Corsi ran serious, operations for the government as a private contractor, super clandestine stuff. He's a super sharp guy. Why do you think Trump calls him up for advice on things? Or not even so much advice, he bounces things off people. So there's a bunch of people I can't mention and say here because it was told to me in confidence. Like I was told over a year ago when he was first running by a prominent person that's friends with him that, oh, you didn't know that Trump sees you as the underground and he's going to basically take this anti-globalist New World Order stuff mainstream and that you're going to cover the underground and he's going to cover the above ground. And I'm sitting there hearing this going, oh yeah, Donald Trump. But then I heard Matt Drudge, a decade ago was a listener, and then he's visited the office and is a daily listener. I was told the Japanese deputy president was a listener and he's come on the show. I was told the head of the German CIA was a listener and he's been on the show. I mean, Infowars is really big, so but it's not about me. I'm talking about all this right now because you need to know that it just kind of built up, and I had never really talked about it, that all these insiders go, hey, Alex, Trump's on the team. He was on the team before you were on the air, okay? He just knew the public wasn't ready yet, and the country's hanging by a thread. He's for real. He's for real. And he's going for it all. And that's why K Street and the lobbyists and the political class that have hijacked the nation are so scared, because they've been tapping his phones. They've got dossiers on Trump. And he tried to sneak up on them and, get in with them thinking he'd work with them. They know, and they're scared because let me tell you something. Donald Trump, thank God he has a big ego. Thank God he likes, the founding fathers in America. He really wants to be the guy that saves America. Wouldn't that be cooler to bring back prosperity and save America and defeat the globalists? That's bigger than defeating the Soviet Union. Soros, as Buckley pointed out before we shot this, is like in a wheelchair with oxygen tanks like a James Bond villain, manipulating through surrogates, and the Koch brothers are. Trump's right out in the open going, I don't like the political system. It's legal, but I don't like it. You have to buy these people. And I'm sick of foreign interest buying them. I'm going to try to put an end to that. I've done well in this country, and now it's time for me to pay back. He really means that. And that's why he doesn't care if he loses all these businesses or loses billions of dollars, which he's lost about $500 million, it's estimated, just since the campaign, people demonizing him. He said, hey, there'll be no country left if we don't turn this around. So the big news is, the big scandal is, the horrible international globalists that launch all these wars and give each other Nobel Peace Prizes, that do all these evil things, that have gotten America in debt by design, and that have dumbed down our education and opened our borders and sold out our industry. They are having conniption fits to the point that the Republican leadership of the RNC Rules Committee has to go on CNBC and say, your vote never counted. Don't vote for Trump because we're just going to take the delegates anyways. And the reporter goes, so why we have primaries? He goes, good point.
The media has created the perception that the voters will decide the nomination, and that's the concept. That's the conflict here.
We feel like we live in a democratic society. What you're telling me is it's not a democratic society, and your votes don't necessarily matter because it's a democratic representation, correct?
No, that's not what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm trying to say is that we're just one of the political parties. There's many political parties, but political parties choose their nominee, not the general public, contrary to popular belief.
Then why bother holding the primaries?
That's a very good question.
We're making them uncloak in their attempt to maintain control. All these special interests that have come in and stolen and robbed the country blind are having heart attacks. The communist Chinese government, the Pope, all these different international organizations are saying you can't have Donald Trump because they know that he's trying to return power to the people and do basic things. Like he says, bing, 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 bing. You just say, hey, China, you can't have a 30, 40% currency tariff on our goods. They go, oh, that's protectionism. No, that's a screw job by them. You'd better stop it. That alone. He says, hey, they've shut off 1,000 of our power plants. That's almost double our energy prices. You can't have a factory here because it's too expensive. we're going to take those restrictions off. They're clean. The globalists could make more money selling pieces of our economy off to India and Mexico and China. And Trump really means to break that. He really wants to be the greatest president ever. And he's in a position to do it. No wonder he's so confident. No wonder he's so fearless. And to learn that he's aware of the show and what we cover, and I'm not going to get into it, and I'm not going to give inside baseball, but down the road, it feels really good to know I'm influencing the campaign. I'm influencing Trump. You're influencing him. He's learning too. It's exciting. It's an exciting time to be alive, and there's a reason they're scared to death of him. So that's the bottom line. Donald Trump is anti-New World Order. Donald Trump knows more than he's saying, and that's why they're so scared of him. And I've had all these insiders that know him go, you didn't know he's anti-New World Order? You don't know he knows about the globalism? You don't know he plans to try to defeat all this and truly bring America back and make us free and open again? It's an incredible time to be alive. Now, back to Infowars Nightly News. I'll be back this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. with a Sunday transmission as well. If you're watching this program, folks, it's up to you to spread the word and realize what's happening and to realize that we've been artificially suppressed so that we can become poor so they can micromanage our lives. They want us poor, so we're too busy trying to work to get food so we're not too uppity. And Donald Trump doesn't like that. He doesn't like poverty. He doesn't like us collapsing. He doesn't like us being engineered. He doesn't like political correctness. He doesn't like Christians being demonized. He doesn't like seeing us be enslaved. He doesn't like seeing arrogant, murderous, third world jihadis coming in here to boss us around. He's sick of it. It's a basic male instinct, and it's exciting. And that's why more than ever, I'm so glad I'm backing Trump. He's not perfect. We're going to try to keep him honest. But he's giving the globalists a run for their money, and they are scared to death. Now back to Infowars Nightly News.
Thousands of years ago, there was a basic form of chivalry. Our ancestors would hear the drums of war, giving the warriors of the tribe a chance to organize and prepare a defense. 60 years ago, when foreign air forces were approaching filled with bombs, they had drums of their own, air raid sirens. But in the 21st century, there are silent weapons for quiet war, pathogens added to the food and water, and to the lining of plastics that destroy our vitality, turn off our hormones, and accelerate our journey towards death. I personally counter this onslaught with Anthroplex. Anthroplex is designed with known organic concentrated herbs to create the basic foundation to normal metabolic activity inside the human body. Discover why Anthroplex is turning so many heads today. It's time for us to take our bodies back into our own hands, and it starts at InfoWarsLife.com with Anthroplex.